us is Democratic Congressman Khanna of California. He is Deputy Whip of the House Progressive Caucus. Hi, Congressman. Thanks for joining us. So Senator Manchin effectively slammed the door on the president's signature agenda item, Build Back Better. Do you feel betrayed by him right now?
Pam, I'm not interested in assigning blame, and I'm frankly not interested in how I feel or my colleagues or politicians feel. What I'm concerned about is how we deliver for the American public, how we get childcare, how we get universal preschool, how we have a pro-growth agenda that grows the economy. And I'm confident that there's a way forward. I'm willing to still sit down with him and the president and work to get to passing a bill.
But the bottom line is clearly the president in his statement that we know that he had a heavy hand in crafting and signing off on felt betrayed by Manchin saying that he would not vote on Build Back Better. That's a reality. So the question is, can you trust Senator Manchin moving forward if there are talks that are renewed about moving forward with something similar to what you have on the table now?
Pam, I trust President Joe Biden. He had a commitment at the $1.75 trillion framework from House Democrats, from progressives, and from 50 senators. Now, if the goalposts have moved, here's the reality. We need Senator Manchin's vote. I mean, that's just the math of the situation. So if the president says we need to go back to the drawing board and here's how we get something done, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, as I think are many progressives, because something is better than nothing. What are we going to do? Leave the American public without child care, without a child tax credit, without an economy that is growing? I mean, Goldman Sachs says the economy isn't going to grow. It would be devastating if we don't get something done.
And as you know, Senator Manchin, he did an interview today. He said that he has been consistent from the beginning, that he has not moved the goalpost. CNN confirmed this afternoon Manchin's counteroffer to Biden last week included universal pre-K for 10 years, an expansion of Obamacare, and hundreds of billions of dollars to combat climate change. It did not include an extension of the child tax credit. We know the child tax credit is, of course, important to the president and progressives, other Democrats, but those three other items are pretty significant. Do you think the White House should have just accepted the deal?
I don't, Pam, because my understanding is the $1.75 trillion that the 50 senators signed off on did include the child tax credit. And let's be specific about what this means. It means $300 per kid for working class families. This is the difference between whether some kids get a Christmas present or not. This is the difference between whether they get winter clothes to go back to school. This is real for families, and it ends on January 1st. And what the president says is we can't take $300 a month away from working families. That has to be part of the agreement. I'm hopeful that we can work with Senator Manchin to get back to as close to the framework as possible.
But I mean, I understand what you're saying about the child tax credit, but if you can get these other big items now, would it be worth to put the child tax credit on the side to get these other big items that Joe Manchin said he agreed to in this counter proposal to the White House?
Well, I think he had agreed to everything initially. And so the question is, if he has concerns about the child tax credit, I want to hear what those concerns are. My understanding from his own words is he said, I understand the importance of the child tax credit. That benefits a lot of working families. I understand the importance of giving kids a fair start at life. And so I'd want to see what do we need to do to get his support. He obviously at one point was fine with the $1.75 trillion, and how do we craft it? And let's have that conversation. But I believe we can get there. If he wants additional compromises and the president says we need to have additional compromises, what I'm saying is we have to be open, we have to be constructive, and name-calling each other is not going to help do anything to advance the ball for the American public.
Your colleague Pramila Jayapal told CNN it is time for President Biden to start using executive action to pass some of these priorities. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a similar suggestion on MSNBC this morning. Let's listen.
I think right now that Democratic leadership has a very large number of tools at their disposal, the president particularly, and it's really about time that, you know, we take the kid gloves off and we start using them to govern for working families in this country.
So do you agree that Biden should start taking executive action? And if so, which parts of the bill should he tackle first?
Yes, let me suggest two places he can take executive action. Obviously, you need Congress, too. But first is we could expand the federal financing bank, which actually Senator Rubio and I are working on, that would allow billions of dollars to help reindustrialize America and help invest in new climate. That is something the president could do, and I believe he could get bipartisan support. Second, he ought to forgive student loans for working families. That would provide some relief. There are other areas that, of course, we need Congress, but my colleagues are correct that the president does have executive powers that he should use to get some of this agenda through.
All right, Congressman Khanna, thank you very much for joining us for your time.
Pam, have a happy holiday and happy holidays to your listeners.
You too.